Hey, welcome back to Barely on Fire. I'm Andrew,
And I'm Stephanie.
and this is a little update video on our trip across the country from Florida to Arizona. We'll tell you about one of our near misses and some tips along the way.
So here we go.
Okay, folks, here we hit the road from Weeki Wachee, Florida. You'll see the Andrew drives off the leveling blocks, grabs them, and then jumps back in the car to hit the road. In this video, we are leaving and we're on our way to head to U-Haul to pick up the tow dolly for the Prius. So, we get a good look at the outside of the RV, and off we go. Beep, beep.
Bye, Weeki Wachee.
Our very first night is Defuniak Springs in the Panhandle, and then from there we'll head to New Orleans, Louisiana.
All right, folks.
Hello from beautiful Catalina State Park in Arizona.
Can you see that? Can you see that? This is our last stop, actually. So the video will be in two pieces. So some of this footage will be in the first video and some of it will be in the second video. So if you see this gorgeous background, this is our last stop at Catalina State Park, just outside of Tucson, Arizona. And certainly, well, we'll tell you about that when we get to that part of the video. But we're glad you're back, and let's get started.
Okay, so this is what 90% of our driving looks like. Me, Bear, Andrew. Bear looking like he's gonna fall asleep. Check it out, sandwiches! I can make them before we stop, and then we can stop for gas and eat.
Okay, another important point for the first half of our trip is that it's really lovely to know people in the places that you're visiting. So we knew people in both New Orleans and Houston, which was really incredible to know the spots to visit, like what we couldn't miss, even in spite of COVID. But if you don't, my biggest recommendation for folks is certainly Pinterest. I use Pinterest for travel planning more than one would expect. And really, I just look through the most recommended things to do in the city, and then I kind of adjust that to what our preferences are, and you know, the level of safety, you know, is it outdoors, is it not outdoors, etc. So that might be like one of my top recommendations. I mean, just for travel planning in general, but certainly for travel planning when you're going to a completely new city that you've never been to.
Me working from the front seat, although I generally work at the dinette.
I got my bear and my best friend. I'm so happy I'm on the road.
One of us is tired. Can you tell who it is?
So before we even left Florida, we were doing our safety checks before we got going the day beforehand, and crisis averted, found out that one of our tires was flat. So brought it to a tire shop. Thank goodness we did it the day beforehand. If we had done it the morning of, we don't know how long we would have been delayed. Luckily, it was only a valve stem that needed to get replaced. We were still right on time, got it fixed in a couple hours. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, which also brings us to the point that preparation, what's the saying? Preparation meets opportunity equals luck.
Luck is where preparation meets opportunity.
I said it right.
And before we had started getting ready to leave, we bought a little air compressor, we bought a tire gauge, and while I was doing my checks, we found out that one of the tires only had 25 psi in it and wasn't holding.
Mm-hmm. So thank goodness we were prepared with the air compressor. Thank goodness we checked in advance. And a lot of that is from watching YouTube videos from other RVers, is just learning like what you need to make sure to have done before leaving. So
Check your tire pressures. It's the #1 leading cause of blowouts. And especially if you're in a fifth wheel or travel trailer, that could destroy the underside of your trailer, and then you're in for a world of hurt.
yeah. Cool.
All right, is this the sun? Hey!
So Andrew just had a conversation with a fellow at a stoplight. I'm set up working in the back. Bear's hanging out in the back with me. Normally he doesn't hang out in the back unless somebody else is back here because he gets scared.
One thing that we found as our second trip, for our first trip being from Vermont down to Florida, we did that in about 3 travel days, and that was about 10 hours per day. We'd leave early in the morning, and when we get to wherever we were going for the night, it would be dark. We'd be setting up in the dark. No fun for anyone. And by the time you get settled in, you're going to bed, and you're waking up in the morning and you're ready to go back out again. This time, we kept our travel days. I think our longest one was at 6 hours. I think it might have been 6 hours. And you leave about like 9 o'clock if you're going late, and that still gets you to your next destination by about 3 o'clock, and then you can settle in. You can pick out one activity that you might want to do in that particular area, but then it lets you relax for that night, and it has definitely suited our travel style much more.
Yeah, I will say on the way down we did thankfully have a couple days of wiggle room, and so on the way down from Vermont to Florida we took a couple nights in Myrtle Beach because that was our second stop or third stop, and that was a real nice reprieve because the other days had been so long.
And that was found
on Pinterest. It was like the 10 best East Coast waterfront, oceanfront parks, and it killed it. It was expensive. I wouldn't do it for a long time, but it was worth it for the nights that we were there. It was so cool. We just literally walked out the RV, and maybe we just do a whole nother video about our trip down to Florida. The pluses and minuses, but the campground, I think it was Ocean Lakes Campground in Myrtle Beach. That was out of this world. This was when COVID was a little bit less intense, but there's like a water park there. They have a snack bar there, a couple other things. So in a non-COVID time, it could be a really, really fun spot. I mean, it was fun even in COVID times because we had the ocean literally across the little walkway.
Mile of beachfront for you to walk.
And you can bring your dog right on the beach. And Bear, our dog, you'll see plenty of footage of Bear, don't you worry, but he's not generally big on water or like going in the lake at home, like at Lake Champlain. But he was like frolicking in the ocean, like some little like murdog. It was really lovely. But yeah, so maybe we'll do a video in the future about that. But certainly Ocean Lake Campground in Myrtle Beach. But also certainly shorter days if you want to be able to do anything during travel. Great advice. Here we are arriving at
Pontchartrain landing, the RV park we stayed at in New Orleans, and we stayed here for 3 days. And it was awesome because we had the Gulf, or well, the harbor right behind us. Andrew was able to do a little fishing on the dock right behind where we were staying, which was a blast. Next, you'll see a few photos of the places we were able to visit. We got beignets at Café du Monde. We got po' boys at the Parkway Cafe, and did a little driving around the city and saw City Park as well as a few other places. We also were able to be outside at Nola Brewing Company, and a friend of ours helped us find all the good spots in New Orleans while we were there. Our next stop after New Orleans was Houston at Lakeview RV Park, and this is the view behind our site. We were able to visit a couple places, including the Gerald Hines Waterwall Park, which was really impressive. Certainly we recommend visiting that, and one of our friends in Houston was able to kind of show us around the Houston area. We also visited Herman Park, which was really awesome. There was fountains, and you can see here some ducks, which I think are apparently the heaviest ducks in the United States. But they have a Japanese garden within the park, and then we walked over to the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston. They've got some cool sculptures out front, and as you can see there. And then I know you might know Chicago has a bean, but Houston has a bean made by the same person. We had a great time in Houston and also ate the best buffalo chicken waffle fries that we've ever had. Got to see the Beatles. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us for part 1 and part 2 of Florida to Arizona. We can't wait to share more with you about when we land in Arizona in Yuma. And we will have interspersed here some of our setup and takedown stuff. So once we set up in Arizona, when we arrive, you'll learn a little bit more about setting up for a longer term, because right now we're just set up, take down. But thank you for joining us. We're really happy to have you. Right?
Thanks again.
So look at that. And look at that. Look at